Brian Baumgartner, actor, director, and of course played Kevin in The Office. And he co-authored a new book, Welcome to Dunder Mifflin, The Ultimate Oral History of The Office, which just went on sale last week. Brian, good to talk to you. How are you, buddy?
Dan, how are you? It's nice to talk to you. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Give me the number one question that was never answered on The Office. Is there one that stands out?
Well, wow, the question that was never answered. Well, I'll tell you what I tried to answer, and I came up with about 12 different answers, is why are we where we are now, right? Like, if you go back in time when The Office was on NBC, we were their number one show for most of the time we were on, but we weren't like we weren't like Friends, we weren't like billboards in Times Square and the cover of Vogue every week. Shocker. But now, 8 years since we filmed anything, we're the most watched show in television. So really what I tried to do through this book is to answer that question, which is what happened. And really this show that we were making for people who worked in offices, why are young people watching it? Why do I get approached by 12-year-olds every day? Like, how did this happen? I don't know that there is one answer, but I think that the relationship between the correlation between an office setting and a school setting is a pretty was bigger than we thought.
Did Jim and Pam become an item in real life off the set?
No, no, not at all. And, Jenna actually talked to me in the book about how she always hated talking to people about it because she felt like that it was like telling people that Santa Claus didn't exist, that like they were not in love in real life, that it was a television show. But I tell you, a big discussion we also have is about, it was kind of the first show in the history of television that inverted the story, right? So like most comedies focus on the lovers. It focuses on the young lovers. And then you have like a wacky uncle or something that comes in and does his funny thing and then leaves. And The Office was different, right? Like the wacky uncle was Michael Scott, right in the middle of everything. And then you had this love story playing out just like in the corner. Like sometimes there would be nothing except, someone would touch lightly graze someone's hand and you'd be like, oh. And I think what that did was that made viewers lean into that story and really want to see more because they weren't getting it week after week.
What's in the book?
Again, I wasn't interested in this is what happened and it was really cool and funny and this is what you should think about what happened. It's an oral history, right? So like my memory is very different than other people's memory. And so what I tried to do was to put all of those things together to tell sort of our best version of what happened. But again, specifically to really try to answer that question, why did 57.1 billion minutes get watched on Netflix in 2020? Like that is a number I can't even comprehend. And that doesn't count Comedy Central and DVDs and wherever else people are illegally watching it. I mean, so like just the number of minutes and episodes that people are consuming is insane.
What was the audition like?
For me, it was I auditioned for Stanley.
Oh.
So I was brought in for Stanley, and I did kind of a bold maneuver because I knew the British version of the show. And I knew that there was a character called Kevin in this, and I knew that was the part that I should play. And so I went in and met with Greg Daniels and Ken Kwapis and Ben Silva, all these producers, and I read the role of Stanley as though I were Kevin. And it was over and I walked out and I was like, well, that didn't go very well. that was a bad choice by me. And I was walking out, and Allison Jones, the casting director, ran after me and said, oh, hey, Brian, actually, there's another role they want you to read for. And I read for Kevin. And I may have told you this before, but one of the coolest things I have, when Steve Carell left, the casting director handed me a piece of paper, and she was like, hey, I was looking for like cool memorabilia for Steve. I didn't find that much, but I thought you would appreciate this. And it was just a piece of paper, and it said Kevin Malone, and it said Brian Baumgartner, Eric Stone Street from Modern Family, now fame, and Jorge Garcia, who went on to Lost and everything else. So it was the three of us. Wow. At that. So who knows? Maybe I could have been Cam in Modern Family.
Where did you come up with a voice for Kevin?
It was so, I mean, this is way too nerdy for your audience, Dan, but I was a theater actor, right? So for me, it wasn't like improv or stand up. Like for me, it was about creating characters. And so I created this character, and we began shooting. And then the writers just fell in love with this, let's just call it childlike sensibility of Kevin. And so it became a little more childlike, a little more mischievous. And so I would say it sort of evolved over those first two seasons to where we finally got. My justification is that Kevin was nervous of the cameras that were filming us, the like fake documentary crew. And as I became more comfortable, more of my personality came out.
What was that first day with Steve Carell like?
He's a genius. I mean, I like to make fun of him, and I should, but I truly believe he is the greatest improviser in the history of comedy. He is. Explain that. He is. So anyone who's smart or funny or whatever can make a joke, right? A poop joke, a whatever kind of joke that just gets a laugh. But what Steve was able to do is, in the blink of an eye, come up with something funny that was also 100% consistent with the character of Michael Scott that he had created, and also stayed on the story, like the plot of that particular episode. So there was never any I'll show you an example, right? Like this is, I should not say this, right? It's a hilarious show. I love Seth MacFarlane, but you think about like Family Guy, right? A ton of the Family Guy jokes are like, that reminds me of the time when, and they cut to something totally different, and it's really funny. In a show with real people, that becomes way more difficult to do. And he never did that. He never just thought of a joke that was funny. It was always on character and on story. I think he's a genius.
Funniest person on set was who?
Me.
Of course. Who was funny outside of the show? So not Steve, I would say, with all respect, like I know Will Ferrell quite a bit, like really understated Family Guys. Like it's not about that, right? It's like the opposite of how Robin Williams used to be, right? Like Robin Williams was on was hilarious every moment of the day. Not Steve. Funniest. Craig Robinson, who played Daryl, might be the funniest stand-up guy I've ever seen. I mean, he is really funny. He's really funny. And I find sometimes that I've been out with comedians, and they're not always the funniest person at the table. Right. And, sometimes they're moody. They pick their spots. Right. It's the guy you don't expect to be sneaky funny, and you're like, oh, wow. That guy is really funny. That guy's really funny. I know. But depending on how famous that comedian is that you're out to dinner with,
he'll get the biggest laughs.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Whether he's the funniest or not.
Yeah, like it's a given that if I say the line or Bill Murray says the line, Bill is going to kill him, and mine might be be about it.
I get jokes that my biggest laughs now come from somebody saying something that nobody quite hears, and then I just repeat it louder and get a big laugh. I don't know.
What's the best cameo?
Oh gosh, I mean, I have proposed to so many people. I guess you have to say that. I joked before. I think I have the world record for most successful proposals of anyone in the history of the world. I should contact Guinness about that. Not to me, but me asking someone to marry someone else and them, I assume, saying yes. It's been in the dozens, the multiple dozens. Yeah, it's crazy.
Jim Carrey was a nice little cameo.
Oh my God. I thought you were talking about Cameo.
The
Cameo site. Everyone asks me about Cameo.
I kept thinking, what the hell is Kevin talking about?
That's why I was like, oh God, Dan, you're going there. The best cameo on The Office, the best cameo performance. Jesus, we need to get our notes together.
I know.
For me, it was Kathy Bates.
Yeah, she had a couple episodes.
Yeah, she and it was really she and I went to SMU together. No, not together. That is not true. She and I both went to SMU, and when I was a student, this is cute. When my mom will appreciate this. When I was a student, she came to speak. She'd won the Oscar for Misery. And we ended up appearing on stage. There was an opening of a theater or something. And I was a student. My mom sent her a book and had her sign a book to me. And so years later, when she shows up on set, I bring in this book that she had sent, signed to me however many years before. And that was really cool.
It could have had a better ending to it. I mean, it wasn't funny.
And I'm trying my best here.
Right.
I got to tell you this though. This I got to tell you because I don't know if you're going to go here. I was just in Scranton. I went back to Scranton this last week to launch the book. Right. I did my New York, Today Show stuff or whatever. But I was like, we got to go to Scranton. And in the introduction of the book, no one's heard this story yet, Dan.
Okay.
In the introduction of the book, I talk about how The Office takes off and this crazy success that happens. And one of the stories that I tell in the introduction of the book was Angela and I go back to Scranton very quickly. And I'm told by someone that there's a wedding happening in the hotel we're staying at, and that the bride is a big fan of Kevin. And they sneak me into the ballroom, and I come in, and she's standing there through a side door. She's standing there, and she starts crying. This is a true story. She starts crying, and she comes up to me, and she wraps her arms around me, and she says to me, "This is the greatest moment of my life." And I say, I truly, I was like, no. You just got married.
Wait, you got to do the Kevin voice to her, don't you?
You can't. I was like, ma'am, dude, this is not the greatest moment of your life. So this is 2007 that happens, right? I'm not great at math. 14 years later, I just go back to Scranton. I sign 1,000 books in Scranton this one night. And suddenly, there she is. And she has the photo that was taken that night. And she's like, and she has a kid now. She has a kid. I tried to make a joke to the kid about me being her first love. Kid did not get it. It went over very poorly, very poorly.
I thought you were going to say that she's divorced and she showed up to say hello to you.
This is the second greatest moment of my life.
The book, and it's a great, like just flying through it. So many pictures, stories there, the interviews. Welcome to Dunder Mifflin, the ultimate oral history of The Office, and it just went on sale last week. Always great to talk to you, Bri. Thank you again, and happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving to you, Dan. And the next time I'm on your show, we'll find out today.
Yeah,
you're going to introduce me as New York Times bestselling author.
Let's go.
We'll find out today. We'll find out today.
Okay.
I don't want to jinx it.
Well, I've put other people on that New York Times bestseller list. So if you're not on there, then it's going to be on me, not on you, okay?
I'll accept it.
All right.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Brian.
All right.
Go out and buy the book. Let's make him a best-selling author, Brian Baumgartner. Big Georgia Bulldog fan, by the way.